What's up, my friends, my friends, my friends, my friends? Hey, thank you for joining me back for another episode of the Daily Dose. We are on day number 229 today, and we have got more of Second Chronicles, okay? Second Chronicles 13 through 17. We also have Psalm number 74. So just a few bullet points in our passages from Chronicles today. The first little section talks about Abijah, king of Judah. The next section talks about Asa, king of Judah. Then it goes into a couple sections that detail a little bit more about Asa, right? It talks about Asa's reform, and then it goes into the period that they refer to as Asa's last years, okay? And then from there it goes to talk about Jehoshaphat, king of Judah, right? It'll go into a little bit of a detail of the various things that happened during those times. I encourage you to jump in there and read it. We're not going to cover it because most of it is review from stuff that we've already done a while back in the books of, I guess, 1st and 2nd Kings. So, that being said, we're going to jump into Psalm 74, very briefly, go through a section of it, and comment along the way. So I want to look at chapter 74, verses 12 through 17, right? Just comment. Okay, so it starts off this section of this psalm by saying, "But God is my king from long ago. He brings salvation on the earth. It was you who split open the sea by your power. You broke the heads of the monster in the waters," right? And so here this psalm is talking about, God, you're my king from long ago. Speaking of eternity past, right? Speaking of the fact that God's always been around, that God has existed outside of time, if you will. And that is a tricky concept for me to wrap my head around, right? Like before God created the world and everything that was in it, I believe that he kind of created the whole concept of time, the dimension of time, if you will, right? When it describes heaven in the Bible, and it talks about how it's going to go on forever, and I believe that it says that there's not going to be any nighttime. It's going to be day all the time. It almost makes it sound like there's not going to be a solar and a lunar cycle and different seasons. It almost sounds like we're going to be existing outside of time. But just the whole concept of anything existing in a place where there is no such thing as time, how does that even work? Right? That's like a quantum physics something that just makes my head want to explode. Super complicated. Anyways, so from here it goes on to say, "It was you who crushed the heads of the Leviathan and gave it as food to the creatures of the desert." Now, I'm not sure exactly what it's referring to by Leviathan here. If y'all know, drop that in the comments below. But it's clearly speaking of the power of God. It's speaking of crushing the heads of Leviathan, some sort of a massive, monstrous beast is what it sounds like to me, and then giving it as food to the creatures of the desert. "It was you who opened up springs and streams, who dried up the ever-flowing rivers." So here it's speaking of God being able to control nature, right? Like when God split the sea, there have been times where God has miraculously caused droughts to happen, where rain did not fall, where rivers dried up, things of that nature. Then it goes on to say, "The day is yours and also the night." Okay, so here it was talking about, just a second ago, working these miraculous environmental things as far as the sea and the stream and the desert, things of that nature. But now it's talking about kind of this aspect of time. It's saying that God, the day belongs to you, and even at night when it's dark, the night belongs to you. You established the sun and the moon, it says. "It was you who set all the boundaries of the earth. You made both summer and winter." That last verse, "It was you who set all the boundaries of the earth," right? When I think about boundaries, I'm not thinking so much about the literal boundaries of the earth, as in like where countries start and other countries stop and all that kind of stuff. I'm thinking about the laws of nature, so to speak, right? Like the gravitational boundaries, things like that, right? I'm thinking more about like the laws of nature. What goes up must come down, the law of gravity. You've got various laws of thermodynamics and other things, just basically rules that the universe plays by, for lack of a better term, right? And when I think about that, I wish I had a list of all of the things that I wanted to mention. I don't. But I've heard people talk before about the specificity of the climate and of everything that makes life possible on Earth, right? the percentage of oxygen that's in the atmosphere, the percentage of nitrogen that's in the air, this perfect balance that makes the air such that it is optimally breathable, right? How far away the Earth is from the sun, how fast the Earth spins, different gravitational forces, all of these factors, right? There's hundreds, probably thousands of these various factors that all contribute to making life possible on Earth. And all of these things have to come together in such a way that is almost perfect, right? If you were to take any one of these many factors and alter them just a little bit, it would make life uninhabitable on Earth. And I wish I had a list of those things. I'll see if I can find that, and I'll do another, maybe I'll do a Chaotic Serenity episode or something at a later date about all of these different things, about the angle of the Earth and the speed at which it spins and all these other things. It's super cool. But anyways, that's all I got for today. So thanks for listening. Appreciate your time. And until we meet again, hey, deuces.